Welcome to Quizalize. Quizalize is a fun and engaging activity for students that provides unparalleled short-term and long-term data for teachers. With Quizalize, you can easily create classes or sync them with Google Classroom. You can assign quizzes or other resources. And you can view assessment results in the activity list anytime you need. When you create a quiz within a class or use one from the marketplace, that quiz becomes accessible in your My Resources tab for all of your classes. You can set up differentiated follow-up activities and monitor student improvement. You can view robust assessment results for each assigned quiz, track class and student performance through your gradebook, and give curriculum-tagged assessments that push data into your Mastery dashboard. Check out our training resources or speak with one of our school's engagement executives to learn how to use Quizalize to its full potential. Or you can inquire about our trial programs for schools and districts.
Hello everyone, my name is Hannah and today I'll be showing you how to use quizzes. So when you go to quizzes, you can either just go ahead and start by using search quizzes or join a game, or if you already have an account, log in or sign up to make an account. If you have a Google account, it's really easy to make one. You basically just sign in to your Google account. So once you get in, you will see at the top there's a search bar. You can search for quizzes by any subject or topic, or you can click on one of these popular category buttons. And then when you click on that or type in what you were searching for, it's going to bring up all of the suggestions down there. And you go over these, when you hover over them, it will bring you a review of what the questions are going to be like, so you don't have to click on all of them. So we're going to go ahead and click on one. There's a few different things that you can do. First, you can see all the questions below, and you can see what the answers are. You can also start a live game, which is like the Kahoot, where you would start a game and they would just start their quiz. You have all these different settings so that if you wanted to give them more attempts, you could make them have a login and change the attempts, show the leaderboard, question timer, all these different things. You could also add memes to make it a little more fun. You could do a homework game, which you have all the same settings, and then you would just go ahead and set a due date and a time, and it would tell you the exact amount of time that students have to do it from your hosting. So they would just do it whenever they have free time. Or you could do a solo game, which is like testing it out before, or students could do it on their own if they have an account. You could share it through social media or through email. You could duplicate it too. Duplicating it is the coolest thing because when you do that, you can edit it. When you edit, you can delete questions, you could edit them. When you edit them, you can change the answers, you can change the question, you could change whether it's one answer or if it's select all. You can also change the time for the question. You can add questions by creating your own or by searching from other people's quizzes. So we'll type in addition and it's going to bring up quizzes of addition, and I can just add the question like that and it'll add it to the bottom. So then I click finish quiz to save it. If you wanted to create your own quiz, a whole new one, you would just click on create new quiz. You would do that the same way that you edited an existing quiz. And you could also align quizzes to state standards. So we're going to go ahead and start a live game to show you, for example. So, I have my settings the way I want them. You can change them. You can also edit the title if you want it. You click host game. It brings up the link and the game code that you need in order for students to get to your game. So we're going to bring up a window so that you can see from what the student side would look like. You're going to type in the game code. Once they have their game code in, they type in a name. Say they bring up a name that you don't want them to use or is inappropriate for the class. If you click on their name on the teacher's end and you click remove, you can just remove it. And then from there, it'll tell them that they were kicked out. So they'd have to retype in their game code. And then if they tried to use the same name again, it won't let them. So they need a new name. All right, so they're in the game. So we're going to go ahead and click start. So after the game starts, on the teacher's end, you can see there's an accuracy bar and then all the students listed as well as the questions. So we're just going to click on some answers so that you can see how it kind of goes. You can see there's the meme that makes it a little fun. There's also a leaderboard so students can see how they're doing. We're going to click on a wrong answer. So on the teacher's end, on the leaderboard, you can see, how many they got wrong, how many they got right. You can also see on the questions which ones are wrong and right. They're only not in order because the questions are shuffled. So say, for example, something happens and you have to end the game. You go ahead and you click End Game. So this will not affect whether you get your statistics. You will get them, but keep in mind they might not be 100% accurate. It might say that they did worse than they did because it takes all questions into account. Alright, so at the top you have these few statistics, the highlights, which helps you to see the toughest question, which is going to be helpful because you can see where students are struggling and what they really need help learning, like concept-wise. You could also see where they struggle the longest to get the answer. You could see the class accuracy as a whole. So down here you can see a whole chart of what questions they got wrong, which ones they got right. It will mark the ones that they did not do as wrong, so take that into account. You can click on this if you want to email it to their parents. You could click on questions, it'll do the same thing as the students, but with the questions. Click on standards. If there's state standards, they will be included here and how the goal was met for those. The really cool thing about quizzes is that at the end, there's this download Excel button. If you click on this, it will download an Excel spreadsheet of the results from the quiz. So we're going to go ahead and click on that, and here you can see how the student did. If there were more students, they would just go to the right. So down here you can see all the questions that were asked. You can see which ones were correct in this column and incorrect in this, and what they were unattempted. So most of them were unattempted because we ended it early. So you can see here, hers was green, that means it was right, and the red is wrong. And this, her percentage of accuracy, that's as a whole. So make sure you remember that. She actually more like got a 50% because you only did 2 questions. But that's pretty much it for quizzes. It's a really good tool, to do quick formative assessments. You get immediate feedback and you can save it for your record keeping. You can see where students need help, where they're really excelling, where they might need more practice concept-wise. So it's really a good tool to go ahead and use maybe at the end of class before they go, so you can see where you might need to do a recap at the beginning of next class. Well, thank you for watching. Have a great day.
Hello everyone, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Maddie. I'm a K-5 STEM teacher and ed tech coach in Los Angeles. I post weekly tech tutorials for teachers, and today's video is going to be about Blukit. Blukit is a fun new twist on your typical review game. It's really great for leveling up student engagement. It's so much fun for students to play, and it just brings that fun and energy back into the classroom when you're reviewing concepts. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the teacher perspective. So I'm going to walk you through how Blukit works from the teacher perspective, how you can set it up, and then we're also going to take a look at the student perspective so you can understand what that interface looks like for students when they're actually playing Blukit. So without further ado, let's get started. So you'll see that I've gone to Blukit.com, and as the teacher, I'm going to want to actually log in to start using Blukit. Now in the top right hand corner, you'll see there are 2 choices. We have log in and sign up. If you've never used Blukit before, you're going to want to create an account. So to do that, you'll click on the sign up button. If you already have an account, you'll want to click on the log in button. Now since I've already created a Blukit account, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the log in button. Now you'll see I am taken to the Blukit dashboard. This dashboard here is going to be where you create your question set. So you'll see here in the center, it says you'll need a question set to host. I don't have any question sets that I've created yet, which is why I see this here. If you have created question sets, they will be housed on this page here that says My Sets. So the first thing I want to do as a teacher is, like I said, I'm going to want to create a question set. Now there are 2 great options for us to choose from as the teacher. In the middle here, you'll see a button that says Create a Set, and you'll also see an option that says Discover Sets. Create a Set allows the teacher to create a question set from scratch. So let's say as the teacher, you have a set of review questions that you want your students to be responding to. You would want to create a set so that you can import your own questions. Now, if you're just wanting to discover sets, see what other teachers out there have created, you can click on discover sets to see what already exists. So for the purpose of today's video, I'm not going to be creating a question set, but really I'm going to be focusing here on this discover set section because there are so many incredible sets that teachers out there have already created. So I'll click on discover sets and you'll see that I'm taken to a page with tons and tons and tons of different sets that you can choose from. You also have the ability to search for a set. So let's say I am a teacher looking to create a set or looking for a set out there about multiplication. I do have the ability to search for keywords here to find other sets that teachers have created about multiplication. So that's just one example for how you can use that search bar here. For the purpose of today's video, I'm going to go ahead and just click on this option here that says name that animal. This is a great way to teach students about, matching vocabulary words to different animals, for example, or it's just a fun game that you can try out to introduce Blue-Kit to your students before you use it for a more high stakes activity related to academics. So here it says name that animal. How well do you know your animals? Try to match the picture to the animal's name. Great for everyone who loves pets and all sorts of creatures. Now you'll see on this page, there are all of the different questions. So there's an image and then it asks students to figure out what animal is this. So you'll see tons and tons of questions. Now, if we take a look at one of these questions, for example, where it says, what animal is this? If I click on this drop-down menu that says show answers, it tells you 4 different choices that students can choose from. So we have walrus, sea cow, otter, and seal. Now on the right-hand side here, you'll also see that there is a time limit. So the teacher who created this set gives students 20 seconds to select the correct answer. And you'll also see that there is this random answer order, meaning that the answers will be mixed for every student. So my view when I receive this question might look differently from another student in the class who might have seal first, for example. So that just kind of randomizes the answer order. All right, now that we've taken a look at all the different questions, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what it's like to actually host this game to try out with students. So to host this game in your classroom, what you'll wanna do is you'll wanna click on this button here that says host. When I click host, it now gives me the option to select a game mode. Now, what's really cool about Blue-Kit, in my opinion, in comparison to some other review games or apps that are out there, is that there are tons of different game modes that you can choose from. So you can do the same question set with students several different times, but have the interface look completely different. So this is a nice way to level up student engagement, to get students really excited about all the different games that exist. So for example, let's take a look. In the top left-hand corner here, it says new mode, tower defense. So the way this game works is it says action-packed defensive chaos. Answer questions, build towers, and design your defense to protect yourself from waves of evil blukes. Now let's take a look at this gold quest one. Exciting twists and chests full of gold. Build your riches in this chaotic mode by answering questions to earn gold and take it from other players. Let's take a look at this cafe one here. It says, order up. It's time for some delicious food. Serve food to customers, restock your supplies by answering questions, and buy upgrades to create an awesome cafe. Now, lastly, I want to point out this racing one. This is the one that we're going to be using for today's video. It says, exhilarating, suspense-filled action. Answer questions to race opponents and use power-ups to get to the finish line first. So I like this game. I think this one feels really fun for students. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this button here that says host game. Now you'll see that I have a few settings that I need to adjust before I actually try out the game with students. So first it says allow late joining. I have this checked right now. Basically what that means is if a student wants to join the game late, they do have the ability to do that if you have this option checked. Now if you don't want students to be able to join the game late, then you're going to want to uncheck that option. Next, it says use random names. So for this one, if you don't want students to have their names tied to their players, you would want to check this button so that it's randomized, so that you don't know who is who, so that other students don't know who they're necessarily competing against or who the winner is going to be. Then the last choice here is number of questions. Now, right now, this is automatically on 30 questions, meaning that students are going to be asked 30 different questions during this game. Now that might feel like a lot of questions, so you do have the ability to make it fewer questions, make it more questions. It's kind of up to you as the teacher. I'm gonna go ahead and just go down to 10 for the purpose of today's video, but you do have the ability to add many more questions depending on how many are in the question set. Now that we're ready to go, I'm gonna go ahead and click on the Host Now button. I'm gonna turn off this sound, and it says go to blukit.com/play and enter the game ID. So this is basically a direction for students. As the teacher, you're all set up, you're ready to go. You are now going to want to instruct students to go to blukit.com/play and have them enter the game ID. This game ID here is what students are going to need to use in order to play your specific Blukit game here. So now what we are going to do is we're going to take a look at the teacher perspective next to the student perspective. So for the remainder of today's video, I'm going to have the teacher perspective on the left-hand side and the student perspective on the right-hand side, so you can see the two modes happening at the exact same time. So let's switch into the next part of the video. So again, we're looking at the teacher perspective on the left-hand side here and the student perspective on the right-hand side. So as the student, I'm going to want to enter the game ID that my teacher gave me. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that. And when I'm ready, I'll click the arrow button. Now you'll see I'm prompted to enter a nickname. So I'm gonna go ahead and type in my name here. And when I'm ready, I'll click the arrow again. Now while I'm waiting for my teacher to start the game, and while my teacher is waiting for other students in the class to join, I'm going to want to go ahead and select one of these characters here. So I'm going to click on this little pig here. And I've selected my icon, so I'll just wait until my teacher begins the game. So you'll see I've gone ahead and already added some more students to the class just for today's example. I am, as the student, going to be responding as Maddie, but I wanted you to see what the interface looked like with at least a couple of students playing the game. So as the teacher, you'll go ahead and want to press the start button once students are all in your class and ready to go. So now looking at the student perspective, it says your goal is to be the first to answer 10 questions correctly. So I'll go ahead and press the OK button. Now you'll notice that there is some fun music that plays while students are playing the game. I'm just gonna turn that off for today's video, but there is fun music that can accompany the game. So you'll see I'm Maddie in the middle on the left-hand side. This is the teacher perspective. If you're teaching in your classroom, this is a really fun thing that you can project on the board so students can see themselves racing against each other. Now as the student, it says, what animal is this? So I'll choose an answer. So let's say I wanna go ahead and choose hippopotamus. I got that one correct, so I've moved forward and closer to the finish line. Now it says, what animal is this? So I can go ahead and click on sloth, and you'll see again, I'm moving closer to the finish line. So as students answer questions and respond, they will move closer and closer to the finish line, and the game ends once the first student completes the race. So I'll go ahead and just respond to the remainder of these questions so you can visualize what that looks like. Now I can click on a power up. This one I got says whoosh, so blow a player back behind you, one question. So click anywhere to use this power up. So if I want, I can choose to make Joseph go back a step. So that's kind of fun for leveling up again student engagement where students are competing against each other. Now it says what animal is this, so I can go ahead and click on one. Let's say I get a question incorrect. I choose octopus. You'll see I don't actually move backwards, but it does tell me what the correct answer is. So it tells you the final standings, it tells you what places everyone came in. I won the game, so it's told me that I have gotten into first place. And so now as a student, I can choose a token multiplier if I would like, so I can go ahead and click on that button. So as the student, after the game is over, it gives you some stats. So you'll see that I came in first place. It tells me my accuracy, so it tells me what percentage of questions I got correct. So that's some helpful information and feedback that it gives you as the student. Now, if we take a look at the teacher perspective again, it says, would you like to play again right now with the same players and the same settings? If you would like to play again with students, you can press the yes button. I'm gonna go ahead and click on no. Now that the game is over, as the teacher, I do have the ability to click on the view report button to actually get some stats about how students responded. So what's great about this is it actually tells you the percentage that how your whole class did in playing this game. It tells you the leaderboard so you can understand where different students were, how they performed. And so that's some helpful feedback and detailed reports that Blukit does give you as the teacher. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to use Blukit. If you liked it, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I post weekly tech tutorials for teachers, and I'll see you back here soon. Bye, friends.
Hello, this is Brenna from Socrative, and today I'm going to show you quickly how to create and launch quizzes for your students in your Socrative teacher account. So within your teacher account, when you log in, you're going to be started on the launch page here, and this is where you can select one of the 6 different activity types to run for your students. If you click on Quiz, you'll open up the full list of quizzes that are currently housed within your Socrative account. If you're a brand new user, this World Facts quiz is going to already be preloaded into your account for you to use as test material, and any other quizzes that you create throughout your use of Socrative will be available for you here. I'm going to go ahead and select my World Facts quiz here to start with. Once you've selected the quiz that you'd like to run, there are a number of different settings that you need to determine before you launch it. The first to choose is your delivery method. There are 3 delivery methods available, and they just change the way in which your students are going to interact with the content of your quiz. So the first one is instant feedback. An instant feedback quiz will allow your students to answer each question and then be shown immediately whether or not their response was correct or incorrect. Open navigation is the second option. With this format, you can have students move backwards and forwards through the quiz to answer the questions in any order, and they can also revise their answer to a question prior to submitting the full quiz at the end. The third option is teacher-paced. Teacher-paced means that you, as the teacher, are going to control when all of the students in the class move on to the next question in the quiz, so the students will need to wait until you allow them to move on to the next question before they'll be able to complete the quiz. Let's select instant feedback for the example. Once you've selected your delivery method, there are a few additional settings that you can adjust as well prior to launching your quiz. Based on the delivery method, Socrative will make some suggestions as to what settings here might be appropriate. So you can see for instant feedback, require names and show question feedback have both been toggled on, but you can adjust those as you need for your own quiz here. But I am going to turn on require names, and let's turn on require show final score there as well, just so you have an idea of what all these different settings mean. Obviously, require names will require your students to enter their name prior to completing the quiz. Shuffle questions and shuffle answers can both be used in order to provide a little bit more difference between questions. So you can have the order of the questions and the order of the potential answers shuffled between students, which is a good option to use if you have any concerns about students potentially peeking over each other's shoulders to try and cheat during an exam. Show question feedback will allow you to display some additional content related to each question as your students work through the quiz. So when building out your quiz, you can choose to provide an explanation to each question, and toggling this setting on will ensure that the explanation is displayed to students after they answer the question. And show final score will allow students to see the final score at their quiz at the very end. So that we've chosen the settings that we'd like to use for this particular quiz, you'll see that on the teacher side here, I'm now being shown a results dashboard. So as my students start answering the questions in this quiz, I'll see their results populate here. In order to actually provide the quiz to students, you'll need to have your students log into your Socrative room. So in this window here, I'm going to log into a Socrative student account. Socrative doesn't have set user accounts for students in the same way that it does for teachers. So the way that students access your quiz is by logging into your specific Socrative room. So on the teacher side here, we can see that there is a room name in the top center of my account, which is Smith 2003. This is my unique room name, and this is what students are going to use to access my quiz. On the student login, I can have them enter the room name, Smith 2003, and click Join. And now the students will be able to access whatever quiz content is within this particular room. So here they can now see the first question of the quiz, which is a true or false question. And we can see over on the teacher side as well that the student now appears in the live results dashboard. And as they begin answering questions, we'll see their results populate on the teacher side. After the student has submitted their response, we do have the option toggled on for them to see the results of that particular question. So I can see that I got this question correct. And we can just work through all the questions of the quiz in this order. So you can see here that you're going to have the results populated for each student who responds to the quiz questions. Of course, I only have one student participating in this quiz for the purposes of this demo, but if you have your full class in here, they would be listed all in the same view for you. And you can see that their responses are color-coded to display whether they got the answer correct or incorrect, so you can see really easily how the class is performing as a whole. When I'm ready for the quiz to be finished, I can click Finish up in the top here. And on the student side, you'll see that it updates to finish the quiz for them as well. So they now are in a waiting period, waiting for the next activity to begin, as there's no other quiz currently running in this particular room for them. Now that we've seen how to launch a quiz for students and what the process is like for students to access that quiz, I'm going to show you how to create a brand new quiz. So I'm just going to click into the Quizzes tab here at the top. And here is where you can see all of the quizzes that currently are housed within your account. So when we were selecting a quiz to run from the launch page at the very beginning of the video, this is the same list that was pulled up. To add a new quiz, you're going to click the Add Quiz button at the top, and we'll click to create a new quiz. And you'll be taken through to the quiz editor in Socrative. So we can select a name for our quiz. And then you can see along the bottom of the page, there are 3 different question types that you have to choose from. So just click the question type you'd like to start with, and then you can enter all of the details for this particular question. So for this example, let's look at colors. So that's the question that I'm going to be asking, and then I can fill in all of the different possible answers for this multiple choice question. And then along the side here, I can select which particular answers should be marked as correct. So for primary colors, we're going to be looking at red, yellow, and blue. And then additionally, I can provide an explanation to give some additional context to this question for my students as well. So there's just an example for that. Once I've finished the question here, I can click to save it and then move on to the next question that I want to have in my quiz. And then save. Once you've added all of the different questions that you'd like to have within your quiz, you can use the arrow buttons here to move them around and change the order in which they're displayed. You can use this little icon with the 2 pages to create a duplicate of a particular question if you have a similar question you'd like to ask, so you can just make a few edits, or you can use the trash icon to delete a question. Up at the very top, just click Save and Exit when your quiz is done, and then you'll be able to see it listed in your quiz list on the main quizzes page, and you can now select to launch that quiz out of your Socrative room for any students to participate in. Once quizzes are finished, you are going to also receive reports based on that quiz, so you can save the results of your students' work. So if I click into the Reports tab here at the top, I'm going to see a list in chronological order of all of the quizzes that I've run previously from my account, so I can click in to review the results at any time. So just clicking on the quiz reports there take you through to the live results dash, just the same way that we saw when the quiz was running for students. And you can also click the Reports button in the top right corner to access the additional report types, so you can save this data outside of Socrative. There are 3 different report types to choose from. The whole class Excel sheet is quite similar to the live results dash in that you'll see an Excel sheet that covers all of the students in the class and all of the questions on the quiz and how they responded. Individual student PDFs will provide you with a PDF document for each individual student that just shows how each student responded to the questions. So that's a great one to provide to your students so they can review their work following the quiz. And the question-specific PDF is going to go through all the questions of the quiz and show you how the class answered as a whole. So how many students responded with answer A, with answer B, and which ones were correct. You then have a few options for how you can save that material. You can either email it to yourself, download it to your device, or save it to Google Drive. And if you are using Socrative Pro and you have student email addresses available, you can send the individual student PDFs directly to students as well. So there's a quick video showing you how to create and launch quizzes for your students in Socrative and how students will access and complete those quizzes for you, as well as how to retrieve the results of the quizzes afterwards. I hope this has been helpful. Happy quizzing.
Hi there, welcome to All Sorts of Crazy. My name is Sarah Swartz. Welcome to my totally empty classroom because we are on summer break. Even though we're on summer break, I wanted to give you an inside look at what GimKit looks like. I love GimKit for quiz review, team building, or icebreakers. It's so versatile and the kids love it. GimKit was described as Kahoot on steroids. And if you've ever played Kahoot, your kids probably go nuts. Now, if you're a teacher and you want to create an account, you have to go to sign up. What you'll see is that there's two options for the GimKit, the free version as well as GimKit Pro. I totally recommend trying out the free version before you buy the whole kit. Now you're logged in and you're ready to create your first GimKit. When I log in, this is my home screen on my iPad, so you can see the GimKits that I've created as well as the assignments that I've assigned to my classes. You can also see that I can create my own classes, which I'll show you in just a moment. Let's go to create a new kit. So I'm gonna hit new kit. Let's say it was the beginning of the year and I wanted to create a quiz or review about my syllabus. I would call it Swartz Syllabus. And your children will see the name of this kit, so name it appropriately. Once you've named your GimKit, you get to choose a cover. And they're always GIFs or GIFs. I think it's GIFs, but however you pronounce it. And the great thing is they're all school appropriate. I'm gonna choose this one from The Simpsons where the kids are all on their phone because I definitely have questions about phones on my syllabus. Now to create my first question, I'll hit add question on the bottom right corner. Let's say my question was, how many days do you have to turn in late work? The first answer that you'll put in is the correct answer. Then I'll put in 3 distractor incorrect answers. Once I finish all the questions, I will hit add question. Now I'll add one more question real quickly. Now after I've created my second question, you can see they're both sitting in my quiz. All of the questions that I've created will show up here. The correct answer will be in green, so it's super easy to check if you put those in correctly. Now once you're totally done, now if you have the free version, make sure that you finish all of your questions before you proceed. But because I have the Pro, I can hit Create Kit and then come back to edit it whenever I'd like. You can have your students play in either Classic or Team Mode. In Classic, there are 3 options. They can race for time. I can put in as much time as I want. If I want them to play for 8 minutes, the winner will be the student that earns the most money. I can have them race to a certain amount of dollars. Again, I can make this as much or as little as I'd like it to be. Or I could do all in. Again, they're trying to earn as much money as possible, but the game ends when the class itself reaches a collective goal. Now I always turn clapping off. Always. Because at the end of the game, the students can tap their iPads to simulate clapping as many times as possible. And on your speakers, where your music used to be, you'll hear, and you can't make it stop. Therefore, I would encourage you to turn clapping off. If you choose team mode, you can put as many people as you would like in each team. Sometimes I do 2 people per team. Sometimes I do one half of the class versus the other half of the class. GimKit will automatically decide the teams, so you do not have to worry about splitting up teams evenly. As soon as you decide what mode you would like to play in, go ahead and hit continue.
Okay, so let's get to how the game is actually played. If you've ever played Kahoot with your kids, it's very similar. But instead of having the questions up front on the board, each student has the questions as well as the 4 possible answers on their own iPad. Therefore, they can move as fast or as slow as they are comfortable with. In the right-hand corner, you'll see how much money each student has accumulated. If a student gets an answer correct, they'll see how much money they earned, as well as have the option to either shop for more upgrades or continue on to more questions. Now, you actually can't buy any upgrades until you have at least $10. Once a player has at least $10, they can shop for upgrades such as money per question, streak bonus, multiplier, or insurance. Now, if a player gets the question incorrect, they'll see how much money they lost, as well as have the option to continue on to more questions or see the correct answer. Now, there are some special upgrades called power-ups. My students love power-ups because they offer so much more strategy as well as competition against other players or teams. The power-ups range to choosing new music for the game,
10,000 per question,
to freezing other players' iPads so that they cannot play for 15 seconds. You can expect a lot of groaning when somebody gets iced. On your projector or smartboard, you'll see the standings of each player and how much money they have, as well as how much time is left and how much money the class has accumulated total. At the end of the game, the standings will be posted. First, second, and third will get gold, silver, and bronze, and then you'll see the rankings from first to last place players.
There's also a kit collaboration mode, which I love because there is no prep on your part. Each student, after they sign in, will submit a question that you can approve or deny, and those are the questions that are used in the GIM kit. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoy this resource as much as my students do, that you get to have fun and it's competitive, and teachers, that you are totally enjoying your summer. If you enjoyed this video, would you like, comment, subscribe? And until next time, have an awesome summer. See you soon.
Quizlet's engaging activities and games provide your students with several effective ways to study and support different learning styles. They can be used individually or collaboratively, at home or in the classroom. When students go to a set, they'll see 7 study mode buttons. Each of these is a different way to practice the material in the set. Learn creates an adaptive study plan that will guide students from basic review to mastery. They'll see a mix of question types that get harder as they continue to practice, with encouraging progress checkpoints along the way. They can also choose to receive study reminders. It's a powerful combination of machine learning and spaced repetition that can help students master nearly any subject. Flashcards are great for basic review. With options for zooming in on images, shuffling the order in which terms are presented, starring cards to focus on, and listening to audio.
Apogee.
Write prompts students with the term, and they must type in the corresponding definition. If they get it wrong, they'll be prompted with the term again. With spell, students will listen to the term being read aloud,
Apogee.
see the definition, and have to type in what they hear. If a word is spelled incorrectly, students will hear and see the correct spelling.
Apogee. A-P-O-G-E-E. Apogee.
Test is a great way for students to quiz themselves on what they've learned. They can choose question types to simulate what they'll see on test day and receive a score instantly. Each time they use test mode, a new version will be randomly generated. Quizlet also has 2 games with high-score leaderboards that get students invested in ongoing competition. Match has students match terms to definitions for the fastest time. Gravity is a space-themed game where terms fall from the sky at increasing speeds as asteroids. Students have to type in the definitions before they land. When signed into Quizlet, teachers will see something students won't see, the Live button. Quizlet Live is an exciting in-class game that divides 4 or more students into teams. On a given team, each student will see the same question prompt on their own device, but they'll have different answer options on their device. To figure out who has the right answer for each question, they must work together, and fast. Of course, students can also study using Quizlet's free mobile apps for iOS and Android. The mobile apps include Learn, Flashcards, Write, Test, and Match options. Everything syncs with the Quizlet website so students can study anywhere, making Quizlet a great companion for both self-directed and group learning. Plus, it can be a whole lot of fun.
Hello everybody, this is Matt, and I'm going to share with you how you can create a quiz using Google Forms. The first thing you'll want to do is open up a brand new Google form and give it a title. So I'm going to just call this sample quiz. And you can always click right up here and it'll change it to the name of your quiz. The next thing you want to do is ask questions. Now you can ask different types of questions in Google Forms. Probably the most common is multiple choice. So let me just put down, what is the capital of Pennsylvania? All right, and so what I can do is I can actually put in some different options. I'll just put Philly instead of Philadelphia. All right, so you can do that. And then you can also ask short answer questions. So say, for instance, I put down, what year did the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl? Okay, so I can actually change that into a short answer type of question. And so right now I have a multiple choice question. I also have a short answer question. You could do all sorts of different types. You could do check boxes if you have multiple answers. You could do a drop down if you'd like. But I'm just going to keep it as is. All right, so now the next thing you'll want to do is you'll want to go right up here to the settings gear. You'll click on the settings gear and you'll notice right here there's a quizzes tab. You'll click on the quizzes tab and make this a quiz. Now you can customize this by choosing when you want the grade to be released to students, whether it's immediately or later. What you want students to see is if they get their question right or wrong. Right here. So I'm just going to keep it as is and hit save. Now the next thing you want to do is give it your answer key. So what is the capital of Pennsylvania? I want to make sure that I choose answer key. I give it a point value, so we'll make this 2 points, and I'll just choose the correct answer. Now I can also answer question feedback. So if they get it right, I can put down good job. If they get it wrong, I can take them to a website or give them feedback. That's something that's very helpful. Now right here with a short answer, I can put down the correct answer. So the correct answer would be 2018. And then I can add other answers as well. So say for instance I have a text-based answer and I have a capitalized version, I have a lowercase version, and maybe there's another way I want it to be spelled. I can do that, and I can just say mark all other answers incorrect. I'm going to make this worth a point, and now you can see what my quiz looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and preview this. I'll preview this, and so this is what my quiz is going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and intentionally get some of these questions wrong just so that you can see what it looks like.
and I can view my score, and as you can see, it tells me that I got this wrong. It gives me the correct answer right here. So that's a really helpful tool. Now, how do you actually give this to students? That's the other question that I get a lot of times. One of the things you'll want to do is you'll go up to the send button. So make sure you go to the send button, click on the link right here, and copy this link and put it into a learning management system like Canvas, something like Google Classroom, Edmodo, Schoology, something to that effect. That would be very, very helpful. Now, if you want to even put that as a link in a Google Doc, you could do that as well. And the best part too is when you get responses, you can click right here where it says responses and get a report of how the whole class did. You can get responses by question. You can see how you did individually. And then you also have this right here. This is a spreadsheet. You can create a brand new spreadsheet of all of your different responses. And as you can see, I get it time-stamped. I get the score. Some things that you may want to add to this particular form to make it a little bit better would be probably you want the name at the top, student's name. Some other things you can do too is when you go into settings, you can actually manually collect email addresses just in case students forget to put their name. You can limit to one response so that they can't respond more than once. And another thing too is that on the actual quiz, let me go back into the quiz right here, you can make questions mandatory to answer simply by choosing this required button. So hopefully that helps you create your own Google Forms quiz. Good luck and happy testing.
Welcome to my YouTube channel for the New Ed Tech Classroom. My name is Sam Carey, and in this video series, I'm showcasing lesson plan ideas as well as free technology programs that you can use when teaching your students online. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use a program called Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle is an amazing program that allows you to customize the video content that you show to your students. I know I use video content a lot with my students, whether in class or during remote teaching. Video is obviously a great way to help students better understand a topic. But one of the problems I've found with video content is that it can be challenging to understand whether or not my students are understanding the material. Edpuzzle addresses this issue by allowing you to add questions to your video that students have to answer in order to proceed forward. You can also cut out parts of videos that you don't want, as well as add your own voiceover. I think Edpuzzle should be part of every teacher's toolkit, and I'm really excited to show you how to use this program. If you find the tips that I share in this video helpful, please hit the like button, share it with other teachers that you know, and consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any of my weekly updates. Let's look at two examples of how Edpuzzle might fit within the bigger picture of a lesson plan that I would use during remote teaching. Here you can see in this lesson plan that I included a hyperlink to an Edpuzzle video to help my students build an academic skill about counterarguments. After they've watched the video, they'll apply that skill to the topic that they're learning. Here I'm using Edpuzzle as a way to build my students' content understanding about different Greek gods. Edpuzzle has 3 tiers of pricing. The basic version is free to use, and it will allow you to import your class, use all the different features of Edpuzzle, as well as provide you with some minimal storage. The main difference with the Pro version is that you're going to get a significant upgrade in terms of how many video lessons you can store in your Edpuzzle account. You can also get access to Edpuzzle Pro as an entire school or as an entire school district. So now let's jump in and take a look at the most important features you need to know to get started using Edpuzzle with your students. First, let's talk about how to import your students into your Edpuzzle account. You're going to want to click on My Classes on the top right-hand side of the screen. Then on the left-hand side of the screen, you're going to click Add New Class. You'll have an option to either create a class on your own or import all your students' names from Google Classroom. Since I'm a Google Classroom user, I'm going to go ahead and click Google Classroom. Next, you'll see a list of all the Google Classrooms that you have set up. In order to import that class list, just click on the Google Classroom you want to import and then select Import Classes. Once you've imported your class, if you click on the Students tab, you'll see the names of all the students that are enrolled in your Google Classroom now in your Edpuzzle account. Now let's look at how to customize a video lesson for your students. You'll want to make sure you're on the My Content tab. Then you'll go to the blue Add Content button on the top right-hand side of your screen. You'll see a drop-down menu, and I'm going to go ahead and choose Create a Video. You'll see here that Edpuzzle is already synced with several different academic channels. For example, if you click on Crash Course, you'll see that only Crash Course videos come up. And if you enter a term in the search box, it will only look for Crash Course videos about that topic. Probably the most common channel you'll end up using is YouTube. Since I'm teaching Greek mythology, I'm going to go ahead and look for a YouTube video about Zeus. After you enter your search term, you'll see that you have a bunch of different videos to choose from. If you already know about a specific YouTube video that you want to use, you can also just go directly to YouTube, find that video, copy the link to that video, and then paste it in the search box in Edpuzzle so that that specific video pops up. Now that you've chosen your video, you're going to see that you have three main customization options. You can cut the video, you can add voiceover to the video, and you can add questions to the video. When I choose to cut videos, I usually do that to either just shorten the duration of the video, or in the case of this video, when the video creator is talking just more generally about his channel at the very end of the video, I'll cut that part out so that my students aren't watching that part of the video. To cut the video, you can either drag the time bar to the exact place where you want your cut to begin, or you can enter a specific timestamp where you want to start the cut. After you hit Add Cut, you'll see that the cut appears in the video layer. To complete the cut, drag over the area where you want your video to be cut so that that section is grayed out. Now let's look at how to add a voiceover. Adding a voiceover will replace the audio in the video with your own voice. So for example, you might want to give your own introduction to the video that explains to students why they're watching the video rather than use the audio that's already in the video. In order to add your own voiceover, click Start Recording, say what you want to say, and then click Stop Recording. Hit the play button to preview your voiceover, and then if you want to get rid of it, you can just hit the trash can icon. By far the most important part of Edpuzzle is adding questions to the video. On the Questions tab, you'll see that there are actually three different types of questions you can add. You can add a multiple choice question, an open-ended question, or you could post a note on a particular section of the video. The most common type of question that I use is a multiple choice question. What I usually do when making my own questions is watch the video, and then when something important comes up, I'll click pause and then select multiple choice question. Here you can see that you can write your own question. And then after I've written the question, I always like to start with the correct answer first. When you write your correct answer, you do want to make sure that the green check is selected next to that answer so that it is graded correctly. After you've written your correct answer, you can write some incorrect answers. After you've written your incorrect answer, make sure that you've selected the red X. And then to make it a little bit more challenging for students, you can also add more answer choices by clicking on the Add button below. You'll see that you also have some different options for how you could further customize the question that you ask. You could add an additional link that you want your students to go to, or you could also upload a picture. After you finish creating your question, make sure you hit the blue Save button at the bottom. In addition to a question, you could also post a note for your students. Your students won't interact with the note, but you might want to use a note if you want to draw your students' attention to a particular part of the video or add some supplemental information that you think your students would need to know. When creating a note, you're going to have the option to either type it or click on the microphone to record yourself speaking the note. Once you've finished typing your note, first click Save, and then to move on to more questions, click Continue. The last type of question you can add to your video is an open-ended question. I usually put open-ended questions at the very end of my video, and I might ask my students something more broad, like what did you learn in this particular video? And if you're ready to assign this video to your students, you're first going to click on the blue Finish button on the top right-hand side of the screen. Now to actually assign this to my class, I'm going to click on Assign. Here you'll see you're given the option to select which Google Classroom you want to assign this video to. Then you can also click a start and end date for this video, and you'll see that the default setting below has prevent skipping turned on. With prevent skipping turned on, students will not be able to fast forward through their video, and I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a minute. If you turn on closed captioning, students will have the option to watch the video with closed captioning, so I do like to turn this option on. And then lastly, if you select Post to Google Classroom, that will automatically post this Edpuzzle to your Google Classroom. As I showed in the beginning, I typically embed an Edpuzzle video into another assignment. So I usually do not post the Edpuzzle video directly to Google Classroom. Once you're ready to assign the video, click on the blue Assign button on the bottom of the screen. And then in order to generate a link to be able to share with your students if you're not posting it on Google Classroom, you want to click on the blue Share Assignment button on the bottom right-hand corner. Here you'll see that you have an assignment link that you can copy and then add as a hyperlink to another document if you're using that strategy. Okay, now let's look at what Edpuzzle would look like from the student's perspective. First, the student would log into Google Classroom, open the assignment, and then click on the link that will take them directly to Edpuzzle. They'll be asked to sign in with the same email account that they use to log into Google Classroom. And after they sign in, they'll be taken directly to the video that you just created. Students hit the play button to watch the video. And then when they get to the point of the video for the question you created, it will automatically pop up on their screen and they'll make their answer choice. If they need to, they can re-watch the video in order to make sure that they got the answer correctly. After they choose their answer and hit submit, you'll see that it automatically grades it for them and tells them whether or not they got the answer correct or not. You'll see here that if you selected prevent skipping when you created the assignment, that the student is not allowed to move the video forward without actually watching it. Next, you'll see when a student gets to an open-ended question that the question pops up and they type their answer. Once the students have watched the video all the way through, as well as answered all the questions, they'll see their final score for those questions. Here, note that the student got a 6 out of 8, even though only one question was actually incorrect. That's because one of the questions is an open-ended question and the teacher still has to grade it in order for it to count as a right answer. Back on the teacher end, you can now see how all of your students performed on the different questions that you asked on the quiz. If you're on the My Classes tab, select Do Assignments, choose the assignment you want to look at, and then click Questions to get a bigger picture overview of how your students did on individual questions that you asked. So you can see that 27 out of 52 students that were assigned this question got it correct. Note that it's still counting students who haven't even watched the video yet, which is why in this case, the number of correct answers looks relatively low in comparison to the total number of students. Then if you want to take a closer look at how an individual student performed, go to the Students tab and then click on a student's name. There you can see their overall grade, the percentage of the video that they watched, how many correct answers they got on the video, as well as the overall time they spent on the video and when they completed the assignment. When you scroll down, you can see how the student did on specific questions. And then if you ask the student an open-ended question, you can give that open-ended question a grade as well as add a comment. Next to the My Classes tab, you'll see that there's a gradebook tab that will give you a bigger picture overview of how your students have done on all the assignments that you've given them through Edpuzzle. Back on the student end, when they click on the completed assignment tab, they'll see the final grade that they got on their video. The last thing I want to show you is where you can find pre-created Edpuzzle lessons. You'll see at the top of popular channels that the first option is Edpuzzle. Here, just like YouTube, you can enter a search term for a video that you're looking for, and that will display videos that teachers have already created and chosen to share. The little icon with a number right underneath the video indicates that a teacher also already created questions for this video. First, select the video, and then at the bottom right-hand side, you'll see that there's an option to edit it. Here you're given the same choices to cut the video, to add your own voiceover or to add or edit questions. Under the Questions tab, you'll see that you can select a question that the teacher already created, and then if you want to edit it, you can click on the pencil icon below. Here, just like when you're creating your own question, you can edit the question or the answer choices. And once you're ready to assign it, just go up to the blue Finish button, and then you can repeat the process of assigning that video to your students. I hope this video helped you learn how to create a custom video watching experience for your students using Edpuzzle. If you have any questions about how I use Edpuzzle, please ask in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching my video to the end. If you found the tips that I shared helpful, please share it with other teachers that you know, hit the like button, and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any of my weekly updates. You can also check out some of the other tutorials I have on my channel by clicking on one of those 2 videos above. And if you're interested in downloading any of the resources that I've created and show on my videos, please visit my website at www.newedtechclassroom.com. Lastly, if you want to check me out on social media, my Twitter handle, Facebook page, and Pinterest account are all in the description below. Thanks so much and have a great week.
Hello everyone, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Maddie. I'm a K-5 STEM teacher and ed tech coach in Los Angeles. I post weekly tech tutorials for teachers, and today's video is all about Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a video discussion platform that's great for amplifying student voice. You can use Flipgrid with preschoolers, you can use Flipgrid with high schoolers, with college students, so it's a really great versatile tool that works for students of all ages. Today's video is very much a beginner's tutorial to Flipgrid, so without further ado, let's get started. So right now we're looking at the Flipgrid website. So to get here, I just opened up an internet browser and I typed in flipgrid.com, and this is the Flipgrid homepage. In the top right hand corner, you'll see that there are 2 buttons that we're going to look at: Educator Sign Up and Login. If you're brand new to Flipgrid, you're going to want to click on the button that says Educator Sign Up. And if you already have a Flipgrid account, just like I do, you'll want to click on this button here that says Login. Now there are 3 different ways that you could log into your Flipgrid account. If you logged in with Google when you created your account, you'll want to click on this button that says Google Login. If you logged in with Microsoft, you'll want to click this option that says Microsoft Login. And then lastly, if you signed up for an account with an email and a password, you'd click this button here to log in. I logged in with Google, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Google Login. So I'm all logged into my Flipgrid account here. You'll see that I have this welcome message. It says, "Welcome to Flipgrid. Let's get your first discussion created and started. First, create a group. Second, add discussion topics. Third, share the join code." So basically what Flipgrid is doing is they're outlining the 3 steps that you need to take in order to get started with Flipgrid. So the very first step here that says create a group, that step is all about creating a class for your students. So that's going to be a digital space where your students can have their Flipgrid discussion. Then the second option, discussion topics. This one is basically where students are actually going to be able to record their videos. So I like to think of Flipgrid discussion topics like activities, whereas a group is more like a class. Then lastly, we have the share the join code. So that's just how students will be able to join your Flipgrid class or your Flipgrid discussion topic so that they can get started. But we'll cover that one more in depth in a little bit. So what I'm going to want to do first is I'm going to click this button that says create a group. So now to create a group, we're going to need to add students into our class. So I'll click the next button, and you'll see that I have some options here. So at the very top, I have the choice to actually change the cover image. So if I click on this here, you'll see that Flipgrid has these really fun cover images that I can choose from. Let's say I want to choose this one right here. This one's kind of fun and funky. You can also click on nature, people, textures, or you can upload your own image as well. So if you click on this use my own image, that's a cover photo that you can add. That's actually something that's saved on your physical computer. But for me as a teacher, I like to just choose one of these ones that Flipgrid has created for me. So now I'll click on this update cover image, and you'll see that my class or my group in Flipgrid now has its own unique cover image. Now what I can do is I can add a group name. So I might title mine STEM class, since you guys know I'm a STEM teacher. And then under group status, you have 2 choices, active or hidden. My group right now is active, which means that students are able to respond to and comment on topics in my group. So since I'm wanting to use this with my students right now, I'm going to want to make sure that my group status is active. Next, it's time to add students to our class. So there's 3 different ways that you can add students to your Flipgrid. First, you can add their email addresses. So if your students have email addresses, that would be a really quick and easy way to add them to your Flipgrid class or your Flipgrid group. In the middle here, you can create usernames for your students. So if you're an elementary school teacher like myself, your students might not have email addresses, and so adding student usernames is a really quick and simple way to get students logged into your Flipgrid group. Then lastly, I love this option probably the most. If you are a user of Google Classroom, Flipgrid makes it really easy for you to connect your Google Classroom to Flipgrid. So you can just click on this button here and it will actually import students from Google Classroom into your Flipgrid group. I'm going to do student usernames just for today's example. So maybe I'll say EdTech Student 1, and maybe I'll do their username as EdTech 1. Next, I'll add EdTech Student 2, username EdTech 2. And then lastly, I'll add EdTech Student 3, and their username will be EdTech 3. So you get the point. You can basically just upload student usernames one by one, or if you have a CSV file saved on your computer, that would typically be a class list that you have saved, you can upload that here, which would make it easy for you to import student usernames very quickly. All right, now if we scroll down below, you'll see that there's also some notification options for your group. So basically what this means is that as the teacher, you can choose to get updated about new responses and comments, either daily, weekly, every new video and comment, or never. For now, I'm just gonna go ahead and select daily since that's the option that's already on here for me, but that choice really is up to you as the teacher, however frequently you would like to get notifications about when students have added new posts or new comments. Then here, there's also the option to notify students. So if you would like for students to get email notifications for new responses and comments, you'll want to turn this option on. For me as the teacher, I don't want to overwhelm my students with emails, so I'm going to keep this off, but you guys know your students and your classroom needs better than I do, so that choice is really up to you. So now that I've set up my class, you'll see again, I have given my class a cover image, I've given my class a name, I've made sure that the status is active, I imported students, I did the student username option, you can choose between email or Google Classroom. I've set up my notifications and now I'm ready to go, I'm ready to create my Flipgrid group. To do this, I'll just click on the button that says Create Group. Now my group is ready to go. So this group, this unique number here, is associated with my Flipgrid class or my Flipgrid group. So I can copy this link and I can share it with my students. I can either create a QR code for them to scan in my classroom. I could share this with students through Google Classroom, through Microsoft Teams. It's really up to you however you would like to share this group with your students. But this link here is going to be really important because that's how students will be able to access your Flipgrid. So I could copy this if I wanted and share it with students in a variety of different ways. So now we are looking at the teacher perspective of my Flipgrid class. So you'll see that this is my group or my Flipgrid class. By the way, you've probably started to notice this by now, but I am going to use group and class interchangeably throughout this video, just because that's how it makes sense in my mind as a teacher, that a class is also the same thing as a group. So at the very top here, you'll see that I have the option to add a co-pilot. A co-pilot in Flipgrid is essentially a co-teacher. So if you have a teaching partner, you'd want to click on this button here to add them to your Flipgrid so that they can also be a teacher within your Flipgrid group. Now let's scroll down here and you'll see that we have topics. If you remember from earlier, I said that topics in Flipgrid are the same thing as activities. So the first thing you'll want to do is you'll want to create an activity in Flipgrid, or you'll want to create a topic. So to create a topic, I'm going to press this button here that says Create a Topic. And now you'll see that I am prompted to start adding details for my Flipgrid activity. The first thing you'll want to do is you're going to want to add a title. So this is going to be the title of your Flipgrid topic. So I might add something like peaks and valleys. Then next it's time for us to add a prompt. A prompt is essentially like directions. So I might want to include something like record yourself sharing a peak and valley of your week. A peak is a highlight, a valley is a low point. Once you have recorded, submit your video and comment on 2 classmates' posts, for example. So my directions here again, I'm gonna have my students record a video. They're going to share a peak and a valley of their week. Once they submit their video, then they'll be able to comment on 2 classmates' posts. So next here we can add a media resource. Flipgrid is awesome because it has the ability to work with a variety of other tools that are out there. So you can add multimedia elements to your Flipgrid topic. So for example, as the teacher, you could record a video where you actually model this for students. So I could actually record myself saying the directions, and then I could also record a video where I'm modeling what I want their responses to look like. So that's one reason why you might want to use this record a video option. You could also add a YouTube link or a Vimeo link. So for example, if you want students to watch a quick video and then share a reflection, you would want to add this media here, and then students could watch that video and then provide a video response with their thoughts. There's also some more choices. You can add an image, you can add a GIF, you can add emojis, you can add a link that's from Google Docs to your Google Drive. So if you click on that, you can insert a file link. You can upload a Kahoot link, Wakelet, Nearpod. So again, there's tons and tons of options for you to choose from. For the purpose of today's video, I'm going to add a GIF just because it's simple and easy. But again, there's lots of other ed tech tools that Flipgrid works with really nicely. So here I'm going to look up, let's say maybe mountain, since we're doing peaks and valleys. And I think that one's pretty cool, so I'm going to go ahead and add it. And you'll see that with this activity, students are just going to have this nice GIF of a mountain that they can look at while they're creating their response. Now I want to scroll down. So here you have the option to add a guest password. This is if you want families or maybe admin or other guests to actually be able to view your topic. For me personally, as a teacher, I'm going to leave this off because I only want my students to be able to access this activity. However, if you do want to share this activity with others, you can turn this on and add a password. Next, we have some other essentials. First, we have topic moderation. What this means is that only video responses and comments that you've approved are going to be shared with the rest of the class. So this one is really up to you and based on the needs of your classroom and your students. Personally, I like to leave my videos moderated. The reason for this being that I don't want other students in the class to see my students' work until I have actually approved it. Basically, if you don't want something to come through that you haven't approved, you're going to want to make sure that you turn this on. Now, there's a variety of reasons why you might want this to be off. If you're wanting it to be just a really quick activity where students post their work in class and they can all see each other's as soon as it's uploaded, that's one reason why you might want this to be off. Next, we have comments. So for this one, if you want students to be able to add comments on each other's responses, you're going to want to click on this option and either choose video and text, video, or text only. Video and text means that students are able to leave both video and text comments on each other's work. This one here, video comments only, means students are able to only leave video comments. And then this one is that students are only able to leave text comments. If you don't want students to be able to comment on each other's videos, you're going to want to press this option here that says none. For the purpose of today's video, I'm choosing none, but like I said, this is really up to what you want out of the activity or out of this topic with your students. Next, we have the recording time. So Flipgrid gives you a bunch of options and times that you can choose from. This recording time, right now, it's selected on 1 minute and 30 seconds, That means that students have 1 minute and 30 seconds in their Flipgrid video. So they're allotted 1 minute and 30 seconds to actually provide their response to you as the teacher. This can be as short as 15 seconds and can go all the way up to 10 minutes. This really depends on the type of activity that you're doing with your students. If you're wanting them to record themselves giving a speech or maybe doing some sort of monologue, you might want this to be a little bit longer, versus a short reflection prompt like mine can probably be done easily in under 45 seconds. Next, you can also add closed captioning. This is really great for accessibility reasons. If you would like to turn this on, you can go ahead and select your language. And now you'll see that we are pretty much set up. So I've added my title, I've added my prompt, I've added my multimedia here. I've chosen to not include a guest password, and I've also set up moderation, comments, recording time, and closed captioning. The last thing I want to point out before we create this topic is that you do have the choice to click on more options here, to add additional attachments, to change notifications. There's a lot of other things here that you as the teacher can go through if you would like to. For me, I don't find it to be super important for what I'm trying to do. And so now what I'm going to do, the last thing is you can choose to save these settings as your default settings if you would like. Now this is up to you. For me as the teacher, I like to use Flipgrid in a variety of different ways, so I don't have this set up as my default settings. But if you would like to, so for example, if you never want students to be able to comment, you might want to set that up as your default settings so that you don't have to change it every single time. Now that I'm ready to go, I'm going to want to go ahead and press on this button here that says Create Topic, and you'll see that my topic is ready to go. Now this specific link here is different from the Flipgrid group link. This is a specific topic link. So what this means is that I can copy and share this link to invite students to respond to my topic. So I have the choice. If you're teaching in person and you want to do this activity live with students, you could share this with them on the board as a QR code and they can scan it and join this topic immediately. You could share this with students through Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, etc. You can also just copy this link and share it with students through your learning management system or however you normally have students join an activity or do an activity. Now that I'm ready to go, I'll press All Set, and you'll see that my activity is created here. So down here below, once students start creating their responses, you're going to start to see them populate here. Right now we have 0 responses because 0 students have filled this out. If you want to join in on the discussion, you can record a response, and there's also a share topic button again for you to be able to share this with students. So now what we're going to do is we are going to take a look at the student perspective so you can better understand what students are actually looking at when they're responding to their Flipgrid activity. So up here, I'm going to click on View as Student just so you can see this from the student perspective. So right now what I can do is I can type in my username. So I am going to pretend to be EdTech1 here. Then I will press Go. And so now you'll see that this is the student perspective, right? So it says peaks and valleys. Record yourself sharing a peak and a valley of your week. A peak is a highlight, a valley is a low point. Once you have recorded, submit your video and comment on 2 classmates' posts. So when you are ready as the student, you can go ahead and click on this big record button to begin recording your video. So I'll click on it, allow Flipgrid to use my camera, and you'll see that I am now here on the screen, and I can begin recording when I'm ready. A few things that are important for students to look at when they begin creating their Flipgrid responses. So first up here, you'll see that there's a little sticky note. Sticky notes are really helpful for students if they want to have some notes that they can look at when they're recording their video. Sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating for students to be recording themselves and seeing themselves on camera. So it's helpful to have a sticky note as an aid while you're creating your video. So for example, I might write peak, is that it's almost summertime. That's a nice reminder for myself. And a valley is that I am going to miss my class. All right, so I've added some notes for myself so that when I'm recording my video, I'll remember what my peak and valley are, and I can use that as a reference point. Down here, there's some options. So if you want, you can upload a clip. So let's say you have a video clip that's already saved, you can do that here. If you just want to use your microphone, you can choose this and you'll see it gets rid of your face option. If you want to have your video mirrored, you can do that by clicking on mirror video. You'll see that I switch back and forth as I click that button. If you want to stay muted, you can do that by clicking mute. If you want to record your screen, you can do that by clicking on record screen. This is really great if you want students to be teaching a concept. And then also some device settings here. Then lastly, another thing I want to point out before we start recording is effects. So Flipgrid is really fun because it has these cool effects that you can add fun stickers, you can put a costume on yourself, so it makes it just more fun and engaging for students. So let's say I want to choose a fun filter. I can change this, put a filter on myself that's pretty fun. Let's say I want to choose this rainbow one. I can go back and I can also add some text. If I wanted to have a text overlay, let's say I wanted to say my peak and valley. I can click and move this around. I can even resize it. Let's go back to effects. Let's say I want to teach a concept on a whiteboard. I could do that by clicking on this board button. If I want to add some stickers, I can do that as well. So let's say I want to add this fun pizza sticker. I can do that. So there's a lot of things that students can look through here to add to their videos. Now that I am ready to go and I'm ready to begin filming, I can go ahead and press this button right here to start recording. Today I'm going to be talking about my peak and valley of the week. My peak is that it's almost summertime and summer is my favorite season. My valley is that as we approach the end of the school year, I'm feeling a little bit sad and I know that I'm really going to miss my class this summer. So now that I'm done, I just press the pause button. If I want to add more, if I realized I forgot something, I can do that by clicking this button again. Thank you so much for watching my video. Hopefully you get the point. That was a little awkward. And so now I can go ahead and press the next button. Today I'm going to be talking about my peak and valley of the week. My peak is that it's almost summertime and summer is my favorite season. My valley is that as we approach the end of the school year, I'm feeling a little bit sad and I know that I'm really going to miss my class this summer. Thank you so much for watching my video. Today I'm going to And so once students are ready, they can go ahead and press the next button. You do have the ability to edit if you would like to change this around, if you want to add more, you can do that. But I like my video, I think it's good to go, so I'm going to go ahead and press next. And so now first it has my display name. So for the display name, that's just going to be the student's name. So mine is EdTech Student 1, so I'll go ahead and just change the S to 1 just so you guys can better visualize what that looks like. But it does auto-populate for students with their first name and last initial. And then here you can also add a description or a link if you would like. Here you can also choose what this cover image looks like. This one looks a little silly. I have this very still face here. So if I wanted, I could choose another frame within this video to be the image that students can see. Let's say I want to find one where I'm kind of smiling. That looks pretty good. I can press confirm. Or students also have the choice to take a selfie or upload a photo. So let's say I want to take a selfie. I can just smile. Then I can press confirm. And so now I've added this fun selfie as the cover image for my video. Once students are ready to go, they can press the submit button, and now it's uploading to Flipgrid. So it just takes a couple seconds to upload. So now you'll see that my video has successfully been uploaded and my teacher can then watch this video and provide me with some feedback. I'll press the done button. And now you'll notice that this video, you can't see it here. That's because I'm still logged in as a student and my teacher hasn't approved the video. So you'll see here it says your video will be hidden until it's approved by your educator. But if I switch back to the teacher perspective, you'll see that I can see EdTech Student 1's work here. So if I click on this, I can watch it. I'm going to be talking about my peak and valley of the week. My peak is... And then once I'm ready, I can choose to add a comment. So I can either make this public, meaning that the entire group can see, or I can make this private, meaning that only me and the student can see. So if I would like to make this a private comment, I can do that and say, great work. Of course, you can add more meaningful feedback than just that, but hopefully that gives you an idea on how you can provide feedback to your students. So now if I want the whole class to be able to see this video, I can click on hidden and change it to be active. So now other students in the class will be able to watch this video within this specific peaks and valleys topic. So if we go back to the student perspective just one more time, you'll see that now as the student I can see this work because my teacher has approved it. This was very much a beginner's tutorial to Flipgrid. So I walked you through how to create an account. I showed you how you can set up a group or a class in Flipgrid. I showed you how to create a topic and how to assign that topic to students. I also showed you what the student perspective looks like, so I submitted a response as a student. And then lastly, I showed you how to provide feedback. Again, this was very much a beginner's tutorial. There are so many really cool features in Flipgrid, so I highly recommend that you play around with the tool. Hopefully this was helpful in helping you get started, and you can then use that knowledge to do some really neat things in your classroom. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you found this Flipgrid tutorial to be helpful. If you liked this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I post weekly tech tutorials for teachers, and I'll see you back here soon. Bye, friends.